Hey there, Seahawks. It's Miss Adams, and in this video, we're going to continue summarizing quantitative data, focusing on box plots and outliers. All right, when we're identifying outliers, we want to look at where our fences are. Anything that falls outside of those fences, we are going to consider an outlier. So for low outliers, anything less than quartile 1 minus 1.5 times the interquartile range is an outlier. And high outliers, anything greater than quartile 3 plus 1.5 times the IQR is an outlier. Box plots are a visual representation of the 5-number summary. The 5-number summary is made up of the minimum, quartile 1, median, quartile 3, and the maximum. All right, an example, identifying outliers and making a box plot. Here are the data on the average number of points per game that LeBron James scored in each of his first 16 NBA seasons. All right, identify any outliers in the distribution. All right, so I'm going to take all my values, I'm going to put them in order from least to greatest, and I'm going to find the middle. So the median is between 27.1 and 27.2. All right, so my median is 27.15. I'm going to find the first quartile, which is the middle of the lower half of the data. So quartile 1 is between 26.4 and 26.7, so 26.55. I'm going to find quartile 3, which is the middle of the upper half of the data, which is 27.95. My interquartile range is Q3 minus Q1, so 27.95 minus 26.55 would give me 1.4. So that's my IQR. Low outliers, I'm going to take quartile 1, 26.55, minus 1.5 times my IQR, which is 1.4. All right, that works out to be 24.45. So any values that are below 24.45 are outliers. High outliers, I'm going to take quartile 3, 27.95, and I'm going to add 1.5 times the IQR. So 1.5 times 1.4 for the IQR gives me 30.05. So any values that are greater than 30.05 are outliers. So I had outliers at 20.9 and 31.4. So I have one low and one high outlier. Make a box plot to display this data. All right, so I have, in a box plot, I need to have that 5-number summary, the minimum, quartile 1, median, quartile 3, and the maximum. All right, so I have quartile 1, quartile 3, the median. I already found those. I'm going to draw a number line, and I'm going to label it with the average points scored per game. And I have an outlier at 20.9, so I'm going to put a little star for my outlier. My next smallest number is 25.3, so that's where I'm going to start my minimum whisker for my box plot. Then I'm going to go to quartile 1, 26.5. I'm going to put a dot at the median, 27.15. Another dot at quartile 3, 27.95. And again, I have that 31.4 as an outlier. So I'm going to put a dot at 30, which is the next largest number that's not an outlier. I'm going to put a star at my outlier. Now that I have these 5 dots, I'm going to connect them to make a box plot. All right, so whisker, box, box, whisker. All right, comparing distributions with box plots. Given the numerical summaries and parallel box plots of the average points scored per game by each player in the season they played through 2019, compare the distribution. So we have LeBron James and Michael Jordan. We have their average, their standard deviation, minimum, quartile 1, median, quartile 3, maximum, and their IQR. And then we have their box plots. All right. So when we're comparing distributions or describing the distribution, we want to talk about shape, unusual features, center, and spread. So for S, for shape, James's distribution of average points per game is slightly right skewed, and Jordan's distribution is slightly left skewed. All right, because the tail of those box plots is a little bit longer. And James's also has like a low and a high outlier, so this is a little tricky. Unusual features, James has 2 outliers at 20.9 and 31.4 points per game. Jordan has no outliers. center, Jordan's average points per game is higher. Again, you're comparing, so you want some comparative language, like more. So higher with a median at 30.1 compared to James's median 27.15 points per game. And spread. Jordan has more variation with an IQR of 5.7 points per game, and James's IQR is 1.4 points per game. So spread, literally look at how spread out it is. All right, go Seahawks.